Tom Cruise returns as Pete Mitchell on the highway to the danger zone. But does this movie reach its cruising altitude? Get it? See what I did there? My name is Tom, and this is my review for the brand new film Top Gun Maverick. Okay, Top Gun Maverick. This isn't a movie that I have been overly excited for. You know, I'm not a big Top Gun guy, right? I've seen the original. I'm not a huge fan of the original. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's just one that never really did it for me, and so I never really had any sort of anticipation for a sequel. But I went to see Top Gun Maverick last night, and to my complete surprise, I loved this movie. I'm not even going to bury the lead. I'm not even going to make any sort of, any sort of vagueness or mystery around it. I love this movie. This is currently my favorite movie of 2022 so far, which I feel like I change that every week with every movie I see. But so far, this movie has the title of my favorite movie of 2022. Let's start talking about the air combat stuff in this film. To know that they are doing this for real and that Tom Cruise is really flying these jets and that the cast are with a real pilot in these planes doing these like tremendous aerobatic stuff. I'm not into planes, so I don't know the terminology. But to know that they are actually flying these planes for real, they mounted cameras on these planes to shoot this movie, and there's not really any CGI at all. It adds a sense of realism when you see these actors in these planes, and the planes are going up like that, and you can see on their... It's something you can't fake. You can see the G-force impacting these actors as these planes are flying, and there's something that happens... they're faced with the amount of pressure that's on them. You can't fake it, and it really adds to the realism of the movie overall, and that's something we've come to expect from Tom Cruise. He likes to do these ridiculous, crazy things for realism and for the audience. And I'm here to tell you, even though, people say, well, CGI is so good now, you really can't tell the difference. Top Gun Maverick proves you really can tell the difference. And God, I don't even want to know what the insurance premiums are for these movies, but whatever. Something I also really appreciate about this movie that really, really, really worked for me was the emotional aspect of the movie. Aside from the fun sequences with the planes and the pilots and the action of the movie and the dogfights and all that stuff, aside from all that, the movie's heart and soul rests with Tom Cruise's Pete Mitchell and the Miles Teller character, who's Goose's son from the first movie. And there are some absolutely sensational scenes between the two of them, just dialogue scenes and scenes of them talking. And of course, Miles Teller resents the Tom Cruise character for things that happened in the past. And it's not something I expected out of a Top Gun movie to get choked up, but I did. And I found myself at several scenes throughout the film almost in tears, because that's just how well that they told this story, and that's how well that these actors portrayed these characters. And this movie, I've always known Tom Cruise to be a great on-screen presence, and I enjoy watching him on screen, but this movie really reminded me, Tom Cruise isn't just a crazy guy who likes to almost die in every movie. He is one hell of an actor, and there are scenes in this movie, some really heavy emotional scenes, where just on his face, it says everything you need to know. And he sells those moments really, really well. And so does Miles Teller. So does the rest of the cast. This cast is incredible, guys. John Hamm in this movie plays like the Admiral, and he's great in the movie. I love John Hamm. Then you have Glenn Powell, who plays one of the pilots that Tom Cruise is teaching and training for this big mission they're going to go on at the end. And you have Val Kilmer. And I'm not going to give away the scenes, but Val Kilmer is in this movie. That's public knowledge. And wow, when you know what Val Kilmer's been through in real life, to see him in this movie, it's quite emotional. To see him and Tom Cruise together in this film, that really was an impactful scenes in this movie as well. Again, I'm not going to give anything away. It's so hard to be vague about a movie like this, because you just want to gush about the scenes themselves and what happens in them. Because it surprisingly, again, I was so surprised by how emotional this movie made me feel. I don't equate like almost tearing up to Top Gun, The first half of this movie is like Tom Cruise, training these guys for this mission they're going to go on at the end of the film. And I could have watched a whole 2 hours of the training happening, because it was fun, it was funny, it was tense, it was thrilling, it was energetic, it had all the beats you want. And, he's got to cut the recruits down from 12 to 6 to go on this mission. And watching that, it made for some really funny moments. It made for some great emotional beats. And then you have the mission itself, which is in the third act, which I didn't think the aerial combat stuff could get any more exciting or any more thrilling than what they did in the training sequences, but they seem to top it over and over again every single time. And the third act mission was fantastic. I'm not going to give away what happens, of course, but I loved every second of it. Like, it's such an immersive movie as well, where where you feel like you are in the cockpit with these pilots. At least for me, that really worked for me. And I feel like the term edge of your seat is overused all the time. Like, every movie that comes out, people are like, it's action, it's edge of your seat. This movie is one that, to me, I caught myself a few times throughout the movie, especially with the aerial combat stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm literally on the edge of my seat. If I don't sit back, I'm going to fall forward. Overall, really loved the movie, but there's a couple of things that could have been stronger, in my opinion. And one of the main one is the love story that's in the movie. Of course, it's Tom Cruise. He's got to have a love interest, and you have Jennifer Connelly there, who's great, and they have a good back and forth in the film. And none of the scenes were bad. I just felt like their romantic story throughout the movie could have been a little bit stronger. Not only that, you didn't really need it. Like, had they not had it in the movie, you wouldn't have been missing anything. But also having it in the movie, it didn't really make the movie worse. But it could have been stronger. It could have been just that little bit stronger, that bit more of that connection I was waiting for. She's really only there to give Tom Cruise a pep talk here and there, like to, sort of encourage him to do the right thing. And I was really surprised. I thought, I haven't seen the first Top Gun in many, many years. I saw it once when I was a child, and I haven't seen it since. But I was surprised that, you can watch this movie not having seen the first one. You're not going to miss anything. They have flashbacks, they reference it, you understand what's going on. And, sometimes with sequels, they don't do that. And so sometimes with sequels where, you get lost if you haven't seen the previous installment. And Top Gun Maverick did it perfectly. But I did want to touch on nostalgia, because I talk about this a lot in my videos as well, especially with things like No Way Home and Doctor Strange. People throw around the word nostalgia like it's a dirty word. And nostalgia is just a tool in the filmmaker's belt that they can use if they so choose, right? If you do it well and you weave it into a narrative organically, then it's fine. And it can be fun and whatever. But in certain movies, it's just there to be there, okay? Top Gun Maverick, to me, does it well sometimes and does not do it so well other times. So you have moments in this movie where there are things that happen that you just expect would be in a Top Gun movie. The Top Gun theme, for example, is in this movie. That's not a spoiler. It's Top Gun. You have to have the Top Gun theme. That would be like having a Star Wars movie without the Star Wars music. So that I understood. But there are scenes that are pretty much directly repeats of the first movie, especially with the Miles Teller character who's playing Goose's son. Did we really need repeats of copy and paste scenes from the first movie? Almost. Probably not. I wish they had found a way to do those a little better, so it's not just hitting the same beats from the first movie. But again, that's a minor criticism, because I found this movie to be such a great time, and I'm going to go back and see it again, and it surprised me because, Top Gun Maverick was not a movie that I was overly looking forward to. I didn't have the date circled in my calendar for this movie, and I went and saw it, and I love... My favorite thing going to the movies is walking into a movie I wasn't really expecting to like, and coming out and really having had a blast. And Top Gun Maverick delivers on almost everything to me. At least the main points. You get your Tom Cruise action, you get your planes, and you have these surprisingly emotional moments. This movie also has a great amount of humor in it. It's very funny in places as well. It's well acted, it's well shot, it's well directed, all of those things. Top Gun Maverick, all round. I loved this movie. I had a great time watching it. If you haven't seen Top Gun Maverick yet, go and see it on the biggest screen possible. It's such an immersive experience. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for this review. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notifications bell so that you never miss out on my take on all things movies. My name is Tom. Thank you very much for watching, guys. You guys can be my wingman anytime.